Good morning, everyone. This is Carrie with Garden Mess. I just want to thank you for joining me today. This morning I wanted to highlight one of my new trees in my yard, and it's the flamethrower redbud. What a pretty redbud tree. It has doubled in its size since I planted it in the fall. The new leaves are bright reds, yellows, you name it, this tree has the pretty colors. Purples, chartreuse colors, plum colors. It's just so pretty, but let's take a closer look at it. The new leaf growth, now this is more in shade, and it has a nice plum color to it. It actually reminds me of those dried fruit, not sticks, but you know, you could eat the dried fruit. It's in those little packages, and anyway, I don't know why I thought that or said that, but that's what it reminds me of, because if you even look at the way the light comes off of the leaves, it looks just like one of those fruits. They're not sticks, I don't know what you call, but they're dried fruit snacks. Then we have the more mature leaves, which are this lime green color. And as they fade, or as the new growth fades, you get, so that's new, and that's as it starts to mature, more mature, and then of course its normal regular color, which again is a lime green color. It's not going to be quite as bright green as a regular redbud tree. Now this top area, of course, gets more sun. And just take a look at that, how pretty that is. Earlier in the spring, it was more of a orange tones to it, and I have another picture of that. So this tree right here does give a lot of different color variety to it. You think that it's more fall colors in the early spring, but then as it's later spring now, we're actually, oh, today is May 1st. So now it's taken on these pretty soft rose, plum, green hues to it. It's just so pretty. And the shape. Now I bought it in this shape. I haven't pruned it. But let's just look at that real quick. See if I can zoom out so you can see it better. Isn't that pretty? There's not very many things in the garden that you can't say that about. I guess you could say, that's not very pretty back there. And definitely my junk in my yard is not very pretty. But this is very pretty. And my silverberry tree, it's pretty. It's not a tree, it's a shrub. Although you could probably limb that up into a tree. It would take a lot of work because it is definitely multi-stemmed at the base, the trunks. So, but it's a pretty shrub. A view from this back corner. I have so many different projects going on. I think I'm actually getting overwhelmed. This Nandina, heavenly bamboo, whatever you want to call it, it blooms and sets seeds, and then the birds carry the seeds away, and it'll grow wherever those seeds land. So I'll probably cut some of those berries off. They're easy to pull up when you see the little seedlings, but some people may not want them in their yard. And this one I actually need to trim back. I haven't done it in a while. I need to do that because it's getting a little too tall for my comfort. But I bought other heavenly bamboo that is not like that. It is not invasive. I didn't plant that. That came with the house. Or maybe it didn't come with the house, but it decided to join this house from someone else's yard. But I have another bamboo that I bought. It's in a container. And it's over here. here's one right here. And I have yet to get it in the ground. I had meant to pull up that other one and put this in its place. And I forget the name of it. And this is not its original pot, I don't believe. But the new growth is more a rosy purplish color. And it's not sickly, but it does change to a lot of different hues with the cooler temps and things like that. And I have this in mostly all day shade except for the very late afternoon. It has been this size for a long time. It's a dwarf variety. It only gets like maybe 2.5 feet tall at the most, and I think that it needs to be in the ground to do better. I just haven't found the right spot for it, but I love it. And I think it's like called Blush Nandina, maybe the variety Blush. I'm not sure. I'll have to find the tag. I don't know where that tag is, but I'll have to find it. A side note here. This ground cover, snow in the mountain, or I don't remember. I threw everything away because I thought I had pulled it all out. It does overtake. Look how much it's spread. And I cleaned it out last year. There wasn't a bit of it left. And now it has spread. So it must grow from those little rhizome, those little pieces that are underground. They look like roots, but they're wide and kind of almost like bean sprout type texture. Anyway, I think they grow back from those. So if you leave any broken pieces in the ground, I think they regenerate. They must, because this has really spread quite a bit in just one little spring season. My winter orange maple tree, not sure what's happened to it. Doesn't look dead. It's not in full sun. Maybe wind, or possibly maybe it's too much moisture. I might have to dig it up and relocate it, because other Japanese maples, I think this is coral, orange coral, winter coral orange. Actually, I forgot the name. Let's see, I think it's down here. I was right, winter orange. They're not dry crispy, they are soft crispy. So, or soft. Probably, this is morning sun that it gets. Not very much of it. It's probably like the most it gets. And then in the late afternoon, after like 3, 4 o'clock, it'll start getting some sun. I'm not too sure what is going on, because if I show you my other maples, this maple gets a lot more sun during the day. And it looks great. So does everything else over here too. And my autumn brilliance silverberry, my autumn brilliance service berry tree is looking, actually, is this service berry or is this crabapple? Oh, I'm all wrong. Royal raindrops, crabapple. Sorry, y'all. I have a service berry tree. Oh, that's what it was. I had a service berry tree and it died there. But that's because we had a very extreme freeze. So that one's doing good though. I have another Japanese maple. Not that maple in the pot. I bought a red autumn maple, and after I bought it, I did some more research, and then I was like, nope, not putting that into the landscape. it gets way too big and the root system is so fibrous that you can't plant anything underneath it. Well, you could, but with difficulty. Anyway, I didn't want something like that in my yard. So I put it in the pot and I'll just keep it there till it's too big to survive. Okay, I had a mosquito dive bombing my face. I had to protect myself there. Anyway, here's another maple, Takiyamu, something like that. I'll have to look up the name, but that one, it's doing great in the ground and it gets full sun. I mean, look, I've got phlox here. I've got Gara. These are all full sun loving plants and it's right next to it. So it's doing very well. Again, and then there's spirea right here. And then I have a gardenia. And so, and like I said, they're all doing great and, you know, full sun and loving it. So that maple's good. Now that's been in the ground maybe 2 years. But still, that shouldn't matter. And this is a dwarf, but look at that foliage, that new growth. See how it's like painted pink? I think, oh, don't step on the fern. These little parrot lilies, I don't mind stepping on. They like take over. Okay, let's see, do we, yes, there's the tag. Geisha Gone Wild. Geisha Gone Wild. That's what that maple is. And again, it doesn't get very tall and it's kind of columnar, so it's narrow. And the sprinkler head is right there. It's not hard. It's like a rain spray. It's not too strong of an output, so I think it doesn't look to be suffering. I just looked at the leaves, they look fine, so I think that one's good to go too. So it's just that one back there. And then I have this Japanese maple. This one also is a narrow type. Let me see if I can get back there without harming my sedum and my, I think that's a wild coreopsis. Okay, let's see, who are you? Winter's Column Red. Winter Columnar Red. Columnar Red. Oh. Whew. Sometimes gardening can help you work out your balance. A redbud tree here. This is just your standard redbud tree. So it can get, you know, upwards of 30 feet tall in full sun. If it was an understory tree, it'd probably stay at the 10, 15, 20 foot range maybe. But it's not an understory. It is in full sun. Probably gets shade starting around 4:45, 5 o'clock for sure it's in shade because the west sun is that way and the house does block it. Anyway, so it will eventually create shade. So I may, the other option, magnolias are also understory trees. For best blooming, they do need as much sunlight as possible. I could put it over here, but I kind of like, so the sun that comes from that direction is dappled already because of all these trees. And so I really don't need it over there. But I want the tree. I want it. I want it in my yard. So I will find a place for it. I will. I could put it over here. But if I put it over here, it would get all day, full day sun. The low stuff is shaded in the morning because of the fence. But so I could put it over here, but then all of these things wouldn't get the morning sun, just the afternoon sun if it was shading it out. So I don't know. I still think I want to be able to see it, so I don't want it hidden. So over there really by the fence doesn't work. I could put it over here. mean, and I could, because that Japanese maple is not going to get tall at all. And I'm going to move that potted maple out. Again, that's, you know, just there temporarily. It's not going to stay in that container. It's either going to go to someone else's house, or maybe I would put it in the front yard somewhere in the grass space. But and then that crabapple tree gets about 20 to 25 feet tall, 10 to 15 feet wide, so it'll probably reach out to where the maple is now, close to it. And then if that's the case, I could put the tulip right here. In fact, I actually might do that, but it might block the sun. Well, no, this gets plenty of morning sun. Yeah, and this gets plenty of morning sun and straight afternoon, 12 o'clock, you know, 11, 12, 1 o'clock sun. So I think I could put, oops, so sorry, I didn't mean to move so fast. I'm just being chased by a mosquito. I could put it right there, and that actually would be a very good spot. In fact, I could bump out the flower bed a little bit more and make a bigger oh yeah, and that gives me a reason to actually increase that flower bed so I can get some more plants. Yes, I love that idea, and I can see it from the living room. Yes, and the fence will somewhat protect it from the harsh winds. This area gets a little bit harder wind when the wind comes through. This little area gets hit a little harder from the wind, where this area not as much. Now, I do have these shade trees, but I would prefer that they were on this side of the yard, because that's the hot afternoon sun from that direction, where this, or these shade trees, they block out the morning sun. So, you know, they're beautiful. I love them. I hope my neighbor never takes them down. Of course, they lean into my yard, so if they ever fall, I'm gonna get the damage, but that's okay. I'm okay with that because I do like the shade that it does create, the dappled shade. I love that look.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. I hope you found these gardening tips helpful. Remember, a beautiful garden takes patience and care, but you can achieve it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future tips and tricks. Until next time, happy gardening.